Chapter 8. That night, Triss slept deeply without dreams. When the voices got her attention just after dawn, she was already awake, feeling more rested than she had in a long time. For a moment she cringed, afraid of still more evidence that she was losing her mind. Then she remembered that Nico had told her. The voices weren't signs of insanity. He wanted to know what they said to her. "Quick! There he... No, that way! Circle him! It's that cursed thief boy!" Triss rolled off the bed and thumped her knees. She scrambled under the bed for her shoes. "Be careful of that tree," the voice cried. "It's a Jang Shakan, and priceless! Priceless!" Triss lurched out the door and headed for the stair. Banging her ankle on a crate, she yelped. Daja opened her door, yawning. "I didn't hear Lark call." "What are you doing?" "Collecting bruises," Triss muttered and limped down the stair. Sandry, too, was up and dressed, clumsily slicing bread at the table. "What is it?" Triss ran out the front door. Once she was in the open, the clamor of distant voices reached her ears clearly. "Will you please tell me what it is?" Sandry had followed her. Looking for the sources, Triss pointed them out. Dedicates in yellow and novices in white approached at the run along the spiral road and between the loom houses across from the cottage. Racing toward discipline, something cradled against his chest, was Briar. Sandry ran to the low gate and opened it. Waving frantically, she beckoned to him. "Stop! Thief!" A lean dedicate, his yellow habit hemmed in black, led the group on the spiral road. "You girl!" he cried, panting and red-faced from the effort of running. "Don't you dare help him!" "Why are we helping you?" Triss inquired as Briar stumbled past her. "Stuff yourself," he snapped. "I never asked for your help." Sandry closed the gate and latched it firmly. It wasn't much of a barrier, but it was better than nothing. Deliberately, she stepped into the middle of the path, putting herself squarely between hunters and prey. A breeze caught her black gown and veil, making them wave like banners. "Admit me! Instantly!" cried the dedicate, who appeared to be the leader, when he reached the gate. The order lost its force as he braced his hands on his knees and gasped for breath. A novice reached over the gate to feel for the latch. He jumped back when the girl slapped his hand. "I did not give you permission to come onto my home ground," Sandry cried, eyes blazing. "I forbid you to enter." Triss's jaw dropped as she thought, "She's either crazy or the bravest person I've ever met." "Little girl, rank means nothing here," snapped the novice. He tried to reach the latch again. Sandry doubled her fist and stepped up to the gate. "What is going on?" Triss hadn't thought a time might come when she would be glad to see Rosethorn, but she was now. The dedicate had clearly been at work in the gardens. Her green, dew-soaked habit was kilted up, showing legs streaked with dirt. A broad-brimmed straw hat sat on her cropped auburn hair. She kept Briar at her side, with an arm wrapped firmly around his shoulders. Daja and Lark brought up the rear, Daja carrying her staff. "Don't play innocent," snapped the dedicate, who had bent over. He straightened, his long face the color of a ripe plum. "Since you are barred from my greenhouse, you sent this young rodent." "Roach," muttered Briar. "Shut up, boy," Rosethorn said through clenched teeth. Briar's accuser crossed his arms. "Your spy stole a 130-year-old Shakan tree, and I demand its return." "I do not have spies, Crane, you idiot, and you couldn't tend to Shakan properly if your life depended on it. You set plants in that glass monstrosity of yours and expect them to skip the pattern of seasons because you ask it. Please, everyone, disharmony upsets the balance of the circle." Lark came forward, dark eyes grave. "Dedicate Crane, Rosethorn would no more steal a plant from you than you would steal one of hers. I know that if you do not." Triss noticed Crane's instant blush and wondered if he hadn't tried to take something of Rosethorn's once or twice. Lark continued, "If she did want to steal anything of yours, we also know that she would take it herself, not send a deputy." "Thanks, Lark," Rosethorn said with a one-sided grin. Crane was not to be silenced. "He is a thief! He stole from a lad at the boys' dormitory." "I never!" cried Briar. "That brooch was junk." "Hush!" Lark ordered. "Anybody could see that," finished Briar. To Lark he whispered, "I got my pride." "He was found innocent by the Air Temple's own truth-sayer," Rosethorn snapped, "in the presence of Moonstream herself." "Is he innocent now?" demanded Crane. More dedicates and novices who should have been at the dining hall joined the group behind him, listening with interest. "Tell me he didn't steal my Shakan." "It's sick," Briar told Lark and Rosethorn. "Whatever he's doing, it's not helping." "I want my Shakan, and I want that thief cast out, snapped Crane. He doesn't belong here. As soon as you return my property, Moonstream will hear my complaint. Shame on you, cried Lark, gold-brown cheeks flushed. Who are you to judge who is fit to stay or go? This lad is here for a reason. Briar rubbed the bowl in which the tree was planted with shaky fingers. If they threw him out, he would go dry and dead himself. Rosethorn tapped his shoulder. Looking up, he met her brown eyes squarely. Please, he thought, praying that she could read his mind. Please. Rosethorn faced her rival. A tomato plant, she said abruptly. Let the boy and the Shakan go, and you can have one of my tomato plants. With a few words on it, so it will die once I transplant it. Dedicate Crane flapped a scornful hand. Thank you, no. Rosethorn sighed. With a few words on it, so it will prosper with you, Crane. Though once you force it to harvest out of season, the fruits won't taste the same. So you say, was the angry retort. One plant in exchange for a Shakan? You insult me. Why don't we talk inside, Lark suggested. Glancing at the crowd of onlookers, she said, I know that service at the dining hall will be over soon. Instantly, a few dedicates and all of the novices hurried away, and some of us here would like to prepare our own meal. Briar and the girls were sent to their rooms as the dedicates talked. Strain his ear though he might, Briar could hear none of the conversation. He gave up trying to listen and put the tree on his windowsill. It was a pine, he knew that much. But how did it stay this small? With a finger, he traced the curve of the trunk. It grew sharply to the right. The branches had a kind of poetry about them, as if they had been made to grow in just that way. I'll say this for you, he gasped, flinched, and almost knocked his prize over. Grabbing it, he faced Rosethorn. She lounged against his door, which she had closed. You don't pick the easy path. Calm down, I'm not going to arrest you. Are you going to make me give it back? That depends. Who will take care of that thing? Shakans, particularly sick Shakans, require work. Even a healthy one demands attention. They're as vain as a plant can be after decades of being tended. I'm a busy woman. Carefully, gently, Briar placed the tree on his sill once more. If someone could tell me what to do, I'd like... He gulped. There's no way it can be 130 years old. Rosethorn sighed. Jang gardeners took 1,000 years to develop the art of miniature trees, she explained. If a seed or clipping agrees to it, and it must agree, the gardeners trim the roots and branches and wire the trunks and limbs. It's all to make them grow in a shape that concentrates each plant's strength. She walked over and cupped the Shakan's bowl in her palms. However it's done, they're works of art, as much as a tapestry or a statue, and this one is not 130. It's 146. Ask it yourself. Briar scowled, thinking she was teasing him, except that, come to think of it, she didn't tease anyone. I'll teach you how to care for it, Rosethorn told him. It's not the kind of project I was left for a beginner, but since the tree chose you, how could it choose me? It doesn't even know me. Rosethorn shook her head. One reason there are Shakans, apart from their being so beautiful, is because they can store magic. They become magic. It enables them to call to those who will do them the most good. Briar looked at the tree with a new respect. I hope you don't end up sorry for calling me, he told it. I didn't know from anything. Ask her. As for this room, Rosethorn said, this is not what I would call properly cleaned. Your blankets and pillow belong on their proper place. The bed. I don't sleep there, complained Briar. It's too high up. What if there are rats under it? They'll chew through the leather straps holding it up and they'll get me when I fall. Ofer. Rosethorn snapped, impatient. She stopped, took a breath, and said more gently, no rat would dare show itself here. If this worries you, though, we'll get rid of the bedstead. You can have the mattress on the floor, and that bed you will make up properly, starting right now. But, he protested as she went to the door, my tree, and breakfast. That tree waited the months Crane had it to come to you. It can wait until this afternoon for us to work on it. As she went out, Briar started to gather his bedclothes. The residents of Discipline were eating breakfast when Triss said, I'd have thought you'd wait till no one was around before you stole something. The boy gulped his plum juice. I thought they were still in bed, he explained, blushing. They were sitting in the middle of that greenhouse thing where I couldn't see them, chanting. Renewing the quake spells on the glass, guessed Lark. With all the earth tremors, it stands to reason. Briar shrugged. I was quiet, and I kept out of sight, but... Rosethorn lifted an eyebrow. You've never heard of alarm spells? Bags have, I'm sure, but that wasn't no bag house. Lark coughed and scratched at her plate with her fork. Dedicate Initiate Crane is a former bag, she explained. Perhaps that is why he's so mistrustful as to place alarm spells in a temple city. Who's he related to, Rose Thorn? Count Albanon for Yorvin, the other woman replied. It's no lard, she added when the four looked at her. Bags, grumbled the boy in disgust. They're all alike. Probably, Rose Thorn agreed. But listen well, Briar Moss. If you had tried to take a plant from me, I would have known, and I don't need alarm spells. He looked at her dismayed. I never would, he protested. Never, ever. Oh, Hugh, grumbled the woman. Eat. When rest period's over, we'll have a look at that bush you stole. She got up and went into her workroom. Only when he was sure that she was out of hearing did Briar mutter, It's a tree. A chacan tree, not a bush.